Hello there, I'm Jimmy Vegas and this is how to create a survival horror game in Unity, and welcome to episode 31. In this tutorial we're going to carry on exactly where we left off last time, and we're going to be able to pick up our key over here, and we're also going to insert a door over here, as well as being able to try and open it, and we just get a locked sound. Don't forget, click on that subscribe button and click on the bell icon as well to stay up to date with every tutorial still to come in this series, and indeed everything else about game development on my channel. And if you've enjoyed this series so far, please feel free to check out my Patreon or YouTube memberships, where you'll learn things like early access, exclusive content, project files, and so much more. With that in mind, let's get to work. So basically, all we need to do is to be able to pick up this and theoretically use the same sort of code to have a door here and have it locked. And the great thing is we've already written these lines of code elsewhere in the game, so this makes it a little bit easier for us. So first things first, I'm just going to illuminate the area with my little test light. So if I just turn that back on and illuminate, I'm going to get rid of this wall here because we're going to have something that goes through to there. And I'm also going to close this gap a little bit when I've got my door in, because I want my door right here. So first things first, let's bring that door in. And I believe it's in objects. We've got door or door one. So not sure which one we're going to use. I guess we're going to use door one because that one doesn't really fit in with the theme of what we're creating here. So let's bring door one in here. Let's increase the size, 10 by 10 by 10, and let's bring it into place. Now I guess it's up to you how you want your door to look. I think we kind of did it with the other door in the other scene, but the frame is not really something I want to deal with, so I'm kind of going to blend the frame into the floor just a little bit so we don't have to deal with it. So I'm going to bring it down to just about there. And that looks okay. So let's just check, does the door look relative to everything else? I'm just going to quickly press play and make sure it does look relative to our player. And it does. That'll do just fine. So next thing would be to bring in this right here and just zoom in so I can see what the gap is. So this is where the refinement of your game would come in. It's obviously entirely up to you how much you refine your game. I do rush things a little bit here, but that is simply because we are short for time most of the time. So that should do it. And I'm going to duplicate this once again and close that gap. There we go. So now we have a door. And we have the key placement right here. So first things first, let's have the door, let's try and open it, and we are presented with it's locked. However, in order to do that, we also need to make sure that the door itself, which is this P cube, needs to have a collider on it. Remember, we don't want to be able to walk through the door, so let's just add a collider. A simple box collider will do the trick. So now, if we try walking through, we should not be able to. And yes, I am aware our gun is glitching. Don't worry, we'll eventually sort that out. Because I think we're going to go through a little bug fixing session at one point. And it's not really a bug, the gun glitching through things. It's all to do with layers. And yeah, so don't worry about that for now. So next thing what we'll do is let's add a collider once again around the door to be for the idea of it's locked. So game object, 3D object, and cube. And let's bring it into position. It's amazing how often you will use cubes as a sense of maybe it's a trigger or an object to pick up. They're so easy and so versatile in so many different ways, and that is why I like to use them more than anything in this instance. So let's make sure the cube fits. So about 1.8, too big, 1.7. Yeah, that should do. And let's increase the size to probably about 3. Maybe 4. Yep, that'll do. And let's turn off the mesh renderer. And also, I am not going to take is trigger because the door is not going to be a trigger. We are just going to be able to look at it and be able to say, oh, yeah, let's do this. So I'm going to save that scene now. And remember I said we've already written the pieces of code that we're going to use. Well, let's head back to scene 001. And if you remember, quite some time ago, we were able to pick up this gun right here. And surrounding the gun is, if we can find it within our hierarchy, so let's search. Is it trigger? Pistol trigger, right there. So if you remember, we attached this pick up pistol script. Now, if we go where that script is, right there, great thing is I'm going to hold Control and press D on that pick up pistol script, and it's created a copy of it. Obviously, we've done that before. However, I'm now going to change this to locked door. And I'm going to place this in, I might put it in the environment folder. Yeah, let's place that in the environment folder. And then let's go into that folder and open up that locked door script. So currently, remember, it is still set up to basically receive a gun. So what we do is we go through it, maybe not line by line, but maybe section by section, and review what lines of code we still need and what lines of code we no longer need. Because there's no point rewriting an entire script all over again when we can just modify a script we've already used, because the premise of it is going to be the same. We look at it, it says whatever it needs to say, and we can do what we need to do. So as soon as this loads up, there we go. Let's take a look. So the distance, we're going to need that. Action display, we're going to need that. Action text, we're going to need that. Fake pistol, we're not going to need, because this script is going to have nothing to do with a pistol. Same with the real pistol, same with the guide arrow. And extra cross we do need, because when we look at this object, we want that extra crosshair to appear. So we do need that. However, we don't need the jump trigger, so that can go. You'll notice all these lines currently over most of everything here. That's because we just need to change the class name. So let's change it to the same as the script name, locked door. And you'll still see a couple of red lines. Reason we're seeing them is because these no longer exist in the script. We've just deleted them. So let's get rid of fake pistol, real pistol, guide arrow, and jump trigger. They can go completely. So let's carry on going through. Let's get rid of those blank lines. And next we have the update method. Yep, we still want that. On mouse over. Yes, we want the extra crosshairs to come over. Yes, we want the action text to display something. However, we want it to say open door. So action display dot set active true. Yep. Text true. Yep. So if we do press the action button, we want the box collider to say nope. We want that to go off. And we still want these to disappear, so that's fine. However, we're going to add one extra little section in this script, which is going to be a coroutine. The reason we're adding a coroutine is because we want the text to disappear off the screen and then come back on, maybe half a second later. And to do that, obviously, we're going to need to use the yield return new wait for seconds line that we've used a few times before. So let's start with IEnumerator. Also, I'm going to point out here that when we pick up our key, we can actually modify this script as well, so we don't need to create a new one all over again. Like I said, the key to all of this is we've already written the code. Let's reuse it. So IEnumerator, door, reset, we'll just call it, open close bracket, open curly bracket. And because we're going to play a sound, let's add that as a variable. So public audio source and locked door semicolon. So when we do this, we're going to have first and foremost locked door play. So locked door dot play open close bracket semicolon. After that, we're going to yield return new wait 4 seconds. And we're going to wait for, let's say, 1 second, semicolon. And after that 1 second, we're going to do the inverse of all of these. So, well, basically just this one, because this is going to disappear and then it's going to reappear anyway because the collider is going to be reattached. So if we place that there and have that set as true and save the script. It really is as simple as that to create a script which allows us to play a locked door sound and actually have text on the screen to do so. So let's head back into Unity. And the error should disappear once the script has compiled, and it does. So let's head to scene 002, which contains our door. Let's head to the door, and now we need to attach the script to this cube. But what we're going to do is we're going to rename this cube to locked door trig. And yes, I know trigger is short for trigger. Next, we're going to add that script we've just written. So let's head to our script folder down here, environment, and locked door goes onto the locked door trig. Then obviously we just need to set those 4 variables in place. Canvas and action key onto action display, action text onto action text, extra crosshair onto extra cross, and locked door. We need to import that. So let's go to our audio effects folder, and I'm going to drag and drop this sound that you can get on the website for free. Head over there, downloads and assets, survival horror, tutorial number 31, and you can download that locked door sound for free. So let's place that onto our player. So FPS controller, effects, and pottery break. Hold Control, press D, and drag and drop the locked door sound over here. Make sure we don't have play on awake ticked. And let's rename this to locked door. And then finally, let's add that to the final variable. There. Next, I'm going to turn off that test light and test this sequence out. So we should be able to go to the door and try and open it. Of course it's not going to work, is it? Why doesn't it work, guys? Come on. Give you a second. Why do you think it doesn't work? And it doesn't work because we didn't start the coroutine. Yep. So if you put that in the comments before we actually got to this point, well done, you get a gold star. So the reason that didn't work is because we basically didn't start the coroutine. So these lines of code never executed. So all we need to do is put start coroutine and in brackets door reset. Oh, close bracket again, semicolon, and save. So just to quickly reiterate, yeah, it didn't trigger. It got here, did this, did that, but never actually got to this section here because we didn't tell it to. So now, when we press play, one more time, we should be able to see this in action. There we go. There we go. So the door will not open. And there is the key for us to pick up. So let's utilize what we've already created. I'm just going to put the test light back on. Utilize what we've already created with the locked door trigger. And instead of it being a locked door trigger, let's now modify that script to be able to pick up the key. So in order to do so, let's go to where the script is. Locked door. Let's hold Control, press D. And let's rename this to key pickup. And let's open that up in Visual Studio. Firstly, let's rename the class to the same as the script name. So key pickup. And once again, we'll go through these little sections here and just add and change what we need to. So we've got distance again, display, and crosshair. Yep, that's fine. We don't need the audio source anymore because this isn't a door. We need to change this to take key or pick up key. Pick up key. And next thing, we don't really need to have a coroutine on this one because we're not going to deal with any time. The key is going to disappear as soon as we pick it up. So that means that we can get rid of the door reset coroutine, and we can also get rid of the start coroutine line. We do, however, need to add in a variable for the key itself. So if we head back into Unity, and if we go to this here, the heart key object, that appears when we shoot the pottery. However, we need to disappear again when we've picked up the key. So to do that, what we do is add an extra variable for it. Public game object the key semicolon. Now down here on the action section, we can say the key dot set active false. Now obviously this script is going to be modified even more probably next tutorial when we get the door opening, move on and unlock with the key and whatever else. But for now, this should just make the key disappear, which is good enough because it gives the impression that we've already picked it up. So save that script and head back into Unity. Once again, let's place a cube. So 3D object and cube round where the key should be, which is right there. So I'm going to shrink that down. 0.2 should probably do the trick. So it's covering the general area where the key lies, so we shouldn't have any problems picking it up at all. So the key is, if I select the right object, right there in the middle, which is completely fine. And let's turn off the mesh renderer. And let's attach the key pickup script. So over here, drag it. And let's rename this to key pick trig. And I'm just going to bring it up to the top of the hierarchy next to where the key actually is. And then let's add everything from the canvas. So action, key, action, text, extra crosshairs, and of course the key itself. Right there. Now, the eagle-eyed viewers out there will have noticed that we can theoretically now pick up this key without even smashing the vase or vase. Now, to get around that, we need to turn off that key pickup trig and then only turn it on when the key appears. So we need to now make sure that destroying this vase has an extra variable which will display, or rather make that trigger appear. So now let's go to the vase break script and add that extra variable in. So public game object key trigger semicolon, and as soon as it's broken and we have the key object set active true, let's also put key trigger dot set active true semicolon and save. So then the final thing we have to do is add that key trigger over here. So drag and drop key pick trig there. So we'll smash the vase, whatever, and it will make the key appear and the trigger, which means this trigger, as soon as we activate it, will make the key disappear. So we've theoretically picked up the key. So now let's test this out. Let's turn off the test light, pick up our gun, pick up the ammo, and let's try this out. Okay, there's that. And okay, it is not working. So let's see why this isn't working. Key pick trig. It could be, let's increase the size. So let's have 0.5. It may be too small. Interesting. It isn't working. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to take a look at my scene view and try and see why this isn't working. So if I move this upwards, come back to the game view, move back. Now there we go. See, this is where the problem lies. It looks like what we're going to have to do to make this actually work is just to basically increase the size of it. That could be all it is. Generally, you're going to want a certain area where you're able to pick up the key easily, and sometimes your own collider can get in the way of things. So if I go to the FPS controller, and we have player casting right here. So the player casting is doing whatever it needs to do. However, this is getting in the way. So this section here, oops, I've clicked off, I didn't mean to do that. The, where is it? Cylinder here is getting in the way. Now, remember what this cylinder's for. This cylinder helps us, trigger different things around us, which is perfectly fine, but we just need to be mindful that it may get in the way. So it's always going to be there, so we may have trouble looking down. So just to kind of prove that fact, what I'm going to do is actually turn the trigger, that cylinder trigger, off for now, and place the lock door trigger, not the lock door trigger, the key pickup trigger back down on the floor. So that's the reason why we couldn't pick it up, basically, because other triggers were getting in the way. So I've got the ammo. Shooting. There we go. So there we go. So now you can see that we can actually kind of pick it up because that's not getting in the way. So the way to get around that, if I undo, 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 and re-put the cylinder back on, if we have the heart key pickup trigger a little bit higher, it's always worth playing around with these triggers to kind of work yourself out and get it just right. So if I put that as, oops, that's a bit much, 1.5 should do the trick. And if I pull it down to about there and turn it off, we now should be able to pick up our key, no problem. Let's make sure the door still works at this point. Yep, that's all good. Okay, so it is a little bit glitchy, but so the principle is there. We've taken the key now. So obviously the door still won't open because we haven't programmed it to open, even though we have the key. But I wouldn't worry about that at all because that's something that we have to code ourselves. So what I would recommend is you work on your triggers, get them aligned perfectly. Can be a little bit fiddly, but don't worry too much. I've rushed this, so that's why it's a bit skewy for me. Next tutorial, what we're going to do is we're going to take that and we're going to be able to unlock the door and go from there, build up the next area, and yeah, just keep rolling forward with this series. So until that next tutorial, guys, thank you very much for watching.